Oh, shit. What are you sneaking over there, Lee?
Our amazing guest and friend Hugh brought me my top 10 favorite fat snacks. Nutty bars.
What's in them?
They're butter? Like peanut butter Kit Kat sort of things, kind of. Oh my God, they're so good.
It's magical.
You're gonna eat those on the plane, aren't you, cocksucker?
I'm gonna bring one pack because my dad thought I was joking with him this morning because I'm bringing gym stuff. I checked the hotel in Vermont has a gym,
sure.
So I'm bringing gym stuff.
Sure,
because I can't let this weekend kill me. So when I told him, he started laughing. He's like, "No, you're not." He thought I was joking because I've never done the gym this is the longest I've ever gone to the gym. So, but I'm gonna bring. I can't turn down these. These are I could kill if I was high. I could kill this entire box.
Well, aren't you lucky you're not high today? God granted salvation on your soul after last night.
That
was fun last night.
That was a lot of fun.
That was really fun last night.
Thank you to everybody who came out. But I wish when you're gonna have to get one of those cars with the Wi-Fi that are coming out now, because that drive home was possibly the funniest time I've ever had with you.
I haven't laughed that hard since going down Seaside with your buddies when you don't pay for the toll. You just go right through the fucking toll gate and laugh. You're stoned. You don't give a fuck.
Oh, yeah.
I got to tell you something, guys. I eat some edibles and I get high, and I giggle. Last night I was fucked up. I had doubts about driving. I was seeing streaks and shit.
Yeah, the lights were vibrating on stage.
I was right there at my caloric intake. I had like maybe 200 calories left for the day. So I drank water at the club, and then I got an amaretto and milk. Why, I don't know. And that sugar fucking zapped me. By the time I got home, I was good. I made some coffee. I sat. I had ice on my knees. And all of a sudden, I got hungry as a motherfucker. And I killed a banana, some raspberries, some tangerines, and then that didn't hold me down. I killed all the little pepperonis. My wife, I guess, was going to make a pizza. That ain't fucking happening.
And I asked you
all the pepperonis.
Yeah, I do that too.
You
can't have that stuff in the house.
You can't have that. I ate every little fucking circle. Then I broke into the baby's Captain Pirate Booty cheese.
Oh, the pirate booty.
Cheddar. Oh, my God, when you're fucking stoned.
Pirate booty.
We grew up on cheese, whatever they are in the Y's label or whatever, or cheese doodles or whatever.
The Cheetos.
Oh, my God.
Cheetos, Doritos.
I was sticking them in my mouth. Like, I was breaking them into my fucking mouth. At the end, I had to close the bag, seal it, and they were all over my face. The cats were eating around my feet.
You take a full hand and just shove it towards the mouth.
Yeah, and then you get that layer, that pirate booty layer.
I had to fucking brush my teeth. I got thirsty. I had to drink more electrified water. But you know what? I slept I was falling asleep in a chair. I didn't even make it to Ari's taping. I'm so fucking embarrassed. I heard it went great. I want to congratulate Ari Shafir on his first 1 hour special taped at the Comedy Store, which is a tremendous feather in your cap, and he fucking earned it if anybody didn't earn it. So he's on his way to Hawaii.
Nice.
Oh,
do a gig down there. There's some little Puerto Rican comedy club in Hawaii, so he's on his way down there. So if you're on the island, look out for fucking Ari Shafir. It's a plane that's going sideways and shit like that. It's landing with a yarmulke on it.
Have you been down there?
It's been 30 years. No, but now there's a guy who reached out through John Salami, and John Salami gave me the info, and I gave it to my agent. So I'm going to go down there.
Nice. Why not? Yeah.
That was fucking crazy last night.
My gosh.
Great. And we didn't eat that many edibles.
Yeah,
It just flowed. We told some great stories last night.
Oh, my God. That was... the best was driving home. For anyone who doesn't live in California, the highway, it's really long and straight, but there's big stone concrete barriers. I think they're sound barriers for the neighborhoods. And that's why I didn't drive. I took an Uber because that highway freaks me out because the right lane ends a bunch of times. And you were nice and you drove me. But we were just talking, and then all of a sudden you're like, this wall is following me. I gotta get away from this wall.
I had to get away from that fucking wall. You can't control yourself. I would have hit that fucking wall. And once you get close to the 170, the wall creeps up on you. People were driving close to me. I thought everybody was a cop. I thought everybody was a fucking cop.
Oh, yeah.
I did 70, 65. I mean, I was fucking stoned to the gazills.
You were convinced this is what it was. It was that Mission Impossible van.
That's right. It was the Mission Impossible van.
But he was convinced it was a cop. He's like, "Oh, we're getting pulled over."
Oh, yeah, it was Tom Cruise and a bunch of fucking cosmopolitans, whatever they are. What do they hang out? Who does he hang out with? Tom Cruise? What's the religion?
the
the Scientologists,
Scientologists.
cosmopolitans. I don't fucking know.
But I had my head in my hands. You're like, I was like, "Are we getting pulled over?" You're like, "I think so." They pull aside. It's a cargo van from Mission Impossible.
You never know, though.
Fucking European.
You never know.
It could be a bunch of fucking guys.
It's
from
like that
Sons of
scene
Anarchy.
where you're following. All of a sudden, the back doors open up, and there's two guys in all black sitting.
And they're fucking shooting at you and
Oh
whatnot.
my goodness.
Hugh Fitzgerald in studio
Yes,
today.
sir.
One of my brothers from fucking Higgins.
LaRue.
Writer. Traditional martial artist. One of the few people that you meet anymore that doesn't want to kill you. You know, he wants to just spread the love of martial art. We got him up here to talk to us a little bit about writing and his buddies and NYU, right? NYU? Is that where you went to school?
I went to Circle in the Square
No
in New
shit.
York.
No
yeah,
shit.
50th and Broadway. Went to Rutgers before that. Bounced around Bergen Community College.
BCC, right?
That's right.
How did you like Rutgers? I had a cousin who went there, and he loved it.
It was good. You know, they had an acting program that was a Meisner-based style of acting that was good. I'd done a lot of method and gone to Lee Strasberg and all these other places, but a buddy of mine said, if you really want to learn how to act, go study with this disciple who's under Meisner, William Esper. So they had a great program. I didn't last long there. You know, I was like, I need to get in the city and cut my teeth and kind of figure out life. So applied to schools and got accepted to Circle in the Square. And studied writing. That's where I met Dave Mamet, which just changed everything.
Was he a professor there?
No, in the program, you were required to go and volunteer at a theater on your second year. So I just basically headed out, found a Broadway show, walked in and said, "Hey, I want to work for the theater." And they said, "Okay, we'll empty the trash cans and go get coffee." And that's how they did it back then. And lo and behold, I'm in a small off-Broadway theater, walk up the stairs, and Dave Mamet's standing in the hallway. Went right up to him and I said, "Nice to meet you. I've heard a lot about you. We're doing some of your plays at our school. I'd like to talk to you about directing." And he goes, "Here, kid, here's my address. Write to me, and we'll talk." And, you know, everyone's like, "No, it's David Mamet. No, he's not going to write you back." I wrote him, lived in Vermont, wrote me back a week later, and said, "Whenever I'm in the city, we're going to meet for coffee. And if you listen to me, not say a word, teach you how to direct." That's what happened.
That's how I met Joey, essentially. For the first 2 months that we hung out, we didn't do anything. I met you outside the comedy club, and you joked around, and yeah. I mean, and it's great because I bet a lot of people in your school, and maybe not even specifically your school, but if the theater said, "Oh, take out the trash and get the coffee," they're like, "Oh, well, I'm looking to be assistant stage director, and I don't want to do that. I want to help with the actual show."
Right, and everyone's looking to get on stage and get a role and fast track. But I just, something told me that if you can get any opportunity to prove yourself, to just do it. I love being in that environment. I love being on stage. I grew up in the theater. You know, it was sort of if I was in that environment or on a set, I didn't care what I was doing. It's the one thing, you know, where they always used to say, if you could spend 15 hours a day somewhere and the time flies and it seems timeless, you're in the right place. I could be on a set for 18 hours and it feels like 4 hours. In the theater for 6 months and it feels like a month and you wish it would never end. So I went in there and I got coffee, emptied the trash cans, pen pal with Dave Mamet. I said, I want to learn. You're the best. And he started writing these books. He'd written many, but one of them came out. It was called True and False, on the theater and acting. And it changed my entire perspective on the business, the way that I looked at how to craft a screenplay, stage play. Long story short, he comes to LA to direct a couple of movies, and I move out to Santa Monica, and I said, "Dave, I want to learn." He goes, "Here, sit in that chair and watch what I do. Watch what that first AD does. Watch what the second AD does. Ask questions, empty trash cans." Taught me everything I know. Everything. And that's, I don't know if that's a bygone era, but it's still an industry where the apprenticeship still exists to a certain degree, where it's based on a handshake and whether or not a guy likes you, not on a resume, have to go call somebody's agent, and you got to meet the agent, and you can meet the lawyer, and then you hope somebody gives you a break. They'll want to see, does the guy show up at 6 o'clock in the morning? Is he on time? Does he have a good attitude? And does he ask an intelligent question? Sure, give him a shot.
That's how I learned to edit.
Yeah.
I went to school for 4 years, and I got the basics, and I learned how to do some things. But my first job, I was, like I said last week, I was building furniture and stuff. But any downtime I had, I was in the specific editor. I made friends with an editor. He's not the David Mamet of editing. He's just one of the head guys there. And I'd go in there and sit down, and I'd be quiet for most of the time. But if he did something, I'd be like, "How do you do that?" And he would show me. And it's I wouldn't be anywhere without. I wouldn't be here without him. So it's really cool that some people do that for you, because I'm sure a lot of directors. Because I'm just looking at his IMDb now. He's done everything.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing that he did that.
Pulitzer Prize winner, numerous plays, books, movies, TV show, and the most generous, kindest guy I've ever seen on a set in my entire life. From the craft service person to the PA, he knew everyone's name. Please and thank you. Every night he left the set, he would go and shake everyone's hand. And I thought, I'm spoiled here, because this is not the norm, but there are good, honest people out there in this industry. And
I envy you two guys. I envy the part of the formality of this. I never had the formality of this. I took a 3-week course on stand-up, and I went to a comedy club and applied, and they made me the doorman, and they made me the sound guy and the bar back, and I watched for 90 days, and guys like us, we got to get in there. I had to get in there. I don't know nothing about books or fucking doing homework or a project or shooting a video, and I got in there, and I ended up out here years later, and I remember the guy going to me, "Hey, you're a feature act. You don't make any money. I can't make no money off you. You're going to have to go in for auditions." And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I had done one thing, performing arts, freshman year. I sang Shattered. I lip-synced Shattered in front of the improv class. That's it. That's all I knew. I didn't know nothing else. And next thing you know, I'm walking around on Fox a lot. And I'm just in heaven, because the best days I have is when I get an audition to walk on a lot. Because for a guy like me, I would never be allowed on a lot. I walk on a lot, and people say hello. I always go get something to eat in a lot. Even if I'm not hungry, I go get something on the lot just to prove my motherfucking point. I take the long way at the lot. To me, being on a lot is heaven.
Yeah.
Because I never dreamed of it. It never even dawned on me. I never knew what a lot was when I was watching all my favorite TV shows. So I envy you guys. I wish I would have gone to NYU and learned writing and then became a comedian.
But on that note, I came a long way around to realize that I don't think it's something that can be taught. I think as an editor, you're going to learn by doing it and cutting, which is probably the most important part of filmmaking. I think it is. Actually.
Editing is the whole thing.
It's the whole thing.
It's the whole thing. You could shoot a movie and you could think you're getting one thing, and a good editor come on and turn it into another.
You could tell 20 different stories in 20 different edits, and it's powerful. But I don't think it's something that can be taught. I think it's an innate sense.
It's an innate sense.
I think it was Ari that was on the show, and he was talking about being directed for the show that was coming up, and the guy was directing him into a black hole, and he was getting frustrated.
Right.
And there are times when a good director will leave everyone alone. Find your mark, speak up, stand up, look the other actor in the eye, and tell the truth. That's quoting from one of Dave's books. Not to oversimplify it, but it's true. Because we overcomplicate everything. People want to justify their paycheck and move us around and do the lights and fancy. All that matters is the punchline. And either you understand how to entertain an audience, or you don't.
Or you don't.
Or you don't. And like you've said many times, it took you a long time to figure that out. But it's the guys that come up from the street, not necessarily the guys that went to Yale and NYU, and I'm sure they learned something, but what you really learned is when I walked into that theater and I had to watch for months the director and the stage manager, and how do they talk to the actors, how does the director block, does the audience like this night over the other night, what are the rewrites, how the rewrites can affect the audience. It's all part of it. I wasn't learning that in school. What I learned by showing up on a set and working with grips and gaffers, I would never have learned at USC or NYU. I would have been demanding my money back. So I think it's something that, once again, you either have or you don't. And there's a big argument about that. But you're where you are just because you had that moxie and you had that personality and you wanted it. And they say that the guy that wants it is the guy who's going to get it in the long run.
For me, honestly, it's kind of like, you know how like Tim Tebow, how they have people who are great in college, but they just can't handle it in the pros. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who I went to school with who were the really artistic and had seen all the French movies and worked on all the independent student movies in school, but are still working in a movie theater back home, which is fine. But sometimes I think those people who are like, it's like too good in college, they don't have.
That's right.
They can't adapt. Like when we shot that documentary, well, the first couple times we talked about it, I was going over stuff that I had learned in school, which in theory would have been good. But when I'm working with you, there's no time for any of that. There's no planning.
That's right, and that's where the gems come from.
Yeah.
Those gems come from getting out of your thought.
Out of your thought.
We overthink everything. We imbue everything with meaning. We overanalyze. We do that naturally. But when you get to like what comes from the heart goes to the heart, and that I think that stands true with anything. So if you believe in something, it's like an instructor. David's a great instructor because our jiu-jitsu coach who loves it so much and loves teaching and coaching guys and believes in each and every one of us. I get texts at 6 o'clock in the morning from the guy.
Yeah.
What are you doing today? You're going to get some exercise? If I don't see you at the academy, I hope you get to the gym and go for a swim. Have a great day. Don't fight. Keep your worries where they are, and you're going to be, I'm going, wait a minute. This guy is more invested in all of us as a fellowship.
Get a text message from them.
As a fellowship.
Jiu-jitsu tomorrow, bright and early. You coming?
Now, what schools are teaching that's not going on in many places.
No, nobody can teach you that.
And that
nobody
must be huge for you, because that's why before I would never go to the gym.
Huge.
But if I had a teacher texting me, like it was like with you, when you would always call me, tell me to walk. If I didn't have that, I probably wouldn't even be at the gym now.
No, you gotta walk. You gotta get. We live in California. I said it last night. If they test 50 people in a room, a blood test, 40% are going to come back vitamin D deficient.
Yep.
That's if you live in Buffalo or Seattle. We live in Los Angeles.
Yep.
40%. That's a big. The first time I went, the doctor was like, I got to give you this. You're vitamin D deficient. And I changed everything. No more on the computer all day. Out. Get in the computer in the morning. You got to get out and get that fucking sun.
That's
I'm thinking now when I leave here.
Best thing for you.
I'm going to go do kettlebells out in the park. I'm going to go do 3 rounds of swings, couple rounds of cleans, just in the park. Get that sun, even if it's 20 minutes. It's sun.
I do Kali. I get the sticks, and I call up buddies that are Filipino martial artists, and we get out there on Ocean Boulevard. I go, how lucky are we to live where we do? Looking out at the ocean. I got my buddies there, and we're just doing
drilling sticks
for 2 hours. That once again goes by like 10 minutes. If you're in a timeless pursuit, you got it. Joseph Campbell, the mystic, and he's profound, wrote that ideally every day you have something or some kind of practice that you have that's timeless, that's a meditation, if at the very least once a week, but it's something you do, whether it's exercise, jiu-jitsu, your art, your comedy, that gets you out of your head and out of your body and becomes a ritual. And when we're out there doing those sticks, I'm in another place. I go off to another world.
Yeah, you really
and
are.
I'm higher than a kite, and I feel like I'm floating home. And my teacher, Dan Inosanto, says it's wellness. You're getting wellness because you're using both sides of your brain, and you're doing this, and it just breaks apart what we're usually holding on to throughout our day, and the traffic and the grind, and it makes us sick and nuts. Have something that, and you do realize that's priceless and what it's all about. I've told you about the academy. The fact that you're doing what you're doing and where you are and like what it did for my brother and continues to, it's a lifesaver. This is a big deal. And it takes courage to step in that. I mean, most people start and quit. I can't tell you how many people. Lee, they come in droves, and I'm looking over and I go, out of 20, 2 will stay. 2 people.
Is this time of year a really big year for that because of like New Year resolutions? The
Yeah.
first week of January be like you can't go to class, and then
You'll see a lot coming through where they had a resolution, and hey, we've said it before. It's terrifying on a lot of levels. I'm going to use Andre once again as an example. Here's a guy who's 250 plus pounds and a defensive lineman, and could crush me in a second. He's sweating into my face, and we're sitting there laughing and giggling. But for most people, that's a terrifying proposition. You know what I mean?
About Andre Carter, the old
Andre Carter,
Patriot. Like, what else did he play for? The Raiders.
Raiders, Redskins.
Oh wow, yeah, that guy's humongous.
I mean, he's humongous. But most people say, "Are you out of your mind?" You got to be out of your mind. And they come and do it once, and they get choked out or tapped out, and their egos are a whole other issue, and they're like, "I can't." And they're driving home, going, "What just happened here?" Or they run to it and say, "I need to learn this." They go the other way and go, "I need to now know how to do this." It's powerful.
First 2 times I went to jiu-jitsu, I left there not knowing what the fuck I had just been hit with. Like, I didn't know what I had just been hit with. Like, everything hurt, every muscle, every toe. And I remember going home and going out and then going to the doctor for something and him going, "Listen, I'm getting these mid-level guys coming in here twice a week with fucked up shoulders and elbows from jiu-jitsu. If there's something else you could do something else." And I looked at him. This is the Raider guy, the guy that does my name. And I'm like, I can't. I like this. I really enjoy this. But for me, it goes back to one thing. It really goes back. And you said it. I didn't even know this. When I came from Cuba, my mom believed in it. And she put me in a karate school. And I was fine. I got beat up a couple times. And I went to Miami last week to see old family, and I was talking to her, and she goes, "I remember you when I first met you, how quiet you were." She goes, "Your life changed when you got hit in the head with that fucking thermos." She goes, "You weren't quiet anymore after that. That woke a fucking devil up."
What was that story?
My mom made me lunch. My mom used to give me a couple bucks, and there was a hot dog man on the corner, and I would go to the hot dog man, and they told me you weren't allowed to leave the property in the first grade. You just weren't allowed to leave the property. You had to have a lunchbox. And I can't stand having that restriction. Like, I just didn't know what I would usually eat my lunch the night before. Like, when we were going to a play or something, we went to Beatlemania or something. Like, the girl that was in my first grade class, her father was one of the guys for Schultz, Peanuts in Manhattan. And we would go to the theater by ourselves. A theater by yourself, like 8 kids, and they would play movies for us. It was fucking...
That's awesome.
It was just amazing as a young kid and stuff like that, But I was fucking nuts. Like, I was quiet at first, but after they hit me with that fucking lunchbox, man.
Oh, in like Central Park or something, right?
They hit me in Central Park.
So you got jumped and they hit you with the...
They had the lunchbox. I took a lunchbox. I ate out of it, and I go, "I don't want this lunchbox. I'm going to make believe I lost it." My plan was to tell my mom I lost it. Mm-hmm. But when I went to Central Park, I was by that little lake. 3 kids came up to me and they're like, "Give us what's in your lunchbox." In other days, I would have given it to them, but something wasn't right. I was like, "I'm not giving you my lunchbox." And we started fighting. When I hit them with the lunchbox, the thing broke open. The kid grabbed the thermos and hit me in the head with the thermos, which was made out of glass. And I heard that thermos hit me and the glass break. That means you got hit fucking hard, because even those thermoses were glass, were whatever, shatterproof. And I remember running home, bleeding, looking at my hand. And my mother, when I got home, they wouldn't take me to the hospital until my mother came from Jersey. We had the bar in Union City. So I was sitting there bleeding for like 35 minutes. I was a fucking mess. And my mother came, and then they stitched me up, and my mother hit me in the car on the way home for playing hooky and for fucking, "Where's that fucking lunchbox?" And then she hit me. And something after that, I just became a fucking Satan. Like, I wanted to fight all the time. So they threw me in a karate school, and that calmed me down. Mm-hmm. And I stuck with it. Then I moved to Jersey, and I joined Ishinryu Karate. And all my buddies were Kung Fu kids, and they were all karate kids and Taekwondo kids. And Martin Perez, who I saw this week, was a judo kid. Jiu-jitsu was not even on the map then. No. It was karate, kung fu, and judo. That's it. If you wanted jiu-jitsu, you had to go to fucking Queens or something. And it wasn't even on the map, because I used to go to Aaron Banks's karate competitions every year in Madison Square Garden. Again, How big
I
is
went
the
to those.
competition?
They were huge.
They were huge.
They were huge.
It's Madison Square
Yeah.
fucking Garden.
Filled.
And then there was a place called Honda Martial Arts Supplies on 40-something Street. That was our Saturdays.
Yeah.
We would save money, and that was our Saturday because we would be there for 5 hours buying, fucking kabuto tonfas and,
I had
and
the tonfas.
fucking sticks and
The stars, the
nunchucks
Chinese
and
stars.
and then you had to buy the stars and get somebody
Yeah.
to sharpen them for you. Because you would buy the stars and they wouldn't
Right,
be sharpened.
right, they were dull.
You take them home and nothing's happening.
Yeah.
You lose your fucking mind. Now you had to go to the hardware store.
Get a new Bruce Lee poster.
Get
while
a
you're
new
there.
Bruce Lee poster. I'd go to Chinatown and buy the black and white pictures.
Yeah.
And then one day, man, I started smoking pot. The 6th grade. I started smoking a little pot, and it went from once every 3 months to every Friday and Saturday. But I wouldn't smoke with the karate guys. I would smoke with the kids by my house. When I was at the karate guys, I couldn't even mention drugs. They would look at me and go, "What are you talking about? We don't even do drugs." So I quit karate. And to this day, it was the biggest mistake of my life. I continued to work out and lift weights, but I lifted weights with somebody. When you lift weights with somebody, you're talking, you're constantly talking.
Yeah.
That first half hour, like Dave makes you get against the wall and you do calisthenics and you're stretching, that's why I don't even like bringing a phone in there. I don't want to hear a phone ringing in there because that's your hour. That's your wellness.
Yep.
That's your chances to invest in yourself. Like you're breathing, and that breathing, it's like you're putting money in your system. Something, not like it's just like you're living, you're alive. And then you leave there and you go back into the worries of the world.
That's right.
And then you look at your fucking phone or whatever the fuck.
I still bring my phone to the gym, and I gotta stop.
Yeah, you gotta stop.
I always get nervous. Nothing would happen. If anyone calls, it's probably you, my mom, and my dad, and I could wait. But it's just like it's gotten to the point where like if you ever forget your phone at home and you just go to the store,
People have panic attacks now.
It's my internet
Serious
went out
panic
a few
attack.
weeks ago for 20 minutes, and I was like, what am I gonna do? There's no internet, and so I gotta start leaving it because I leave my wallet in my car now because you told me that people used to break into gym lockers, so I don't leave my wallet in the gym locker anymore. But yeah, I gotta stop bringing my phone in.
How about this notion? To put it out there. Speaking of wallets, the academy or the dojo is a place where you can leave your belongings, a wallet or a phone, which has happened to me several times, where I've left my wallet with full of cash, and it's still there, and actually a guy finds it and gives it to the instructor, who puts it in a drawer behind the desk, and never once worried about it being stolen or being ripped off. So few places anymore where you can actually trust. You can't even do it at your own gym. Somebody's actually going to pick the lock or cut the lock to get into your stuff. But at the academy, there's a code. That's another point of all of this. It's hard to describe how there's that camaraderie and trust that I think it's rare these days. You know, your word.
Boy, jiu-jitsu is something else. Jiu-jitsu is such a great exercise, but at the same time, I get my hand caught in your gi and we spin, I break my wrist. You know, an arm bar, a little, you know, so when you're doing things like that and it's a quick arm bar, it's a quick tap. An elbow could go quickly. An elbow doesn't need you to tug on it. I'm 300 pounds. I go back too fast.
It'll go fast, yeah.
That's why I don't mess with those. And I don't mess with those because I know I'm going to hurt somebody. So I learn how to do them, but I won't really want to because my speed going backwards is a fucking, your pop, everything will pop. I'll rip your arm out of your socket.
Well, every jiu-jitsu guy Joey has come in here, the one standard is usually they all say how nice everybody is at jiu-jitsu, and it seems like that. But what do you think is going on with all the UFC fighters getting hurt in the training camps now? Like, where does the difference happen?
You want me to tell you what I saw that I'm not liking, but I saw what happened? This is what I saw what happened. At the end of the day, that's a martial art. It's a triple martial art. But I think people are turning it into an anti-martial art. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, Lee. I don't know. People are getting hurt in training because you train that hard. When you train that hard, it's you're working on 3 different disciplines at one time.
Oh, I know there's some injuries that are just like you sprained an ankle or something, but it seems like there's been more like sparring injuries that you would think they'd be like, okay, this guy's gonna fight the title fight, maybe don't go and try to kill him.
Well, look at somebody like Robbie Lawler. He doesn't spar. He knows he could fight. What he does is he works with a coach and he wrestles. He wrestles a lot to get his workout in. So everybody has different training methods, you know, and accidents are going to happen.
Right.
I know that somebody got hurt. Oh, John Jones got hurt. And Dana White said, what the fuck is he doing jiu-jitsuing with fucko with Alistair Overeem? I get what you're saying, but you got to work and you got to...
And they want to push themselves.
Yeah, you got to work hard.
These guys are super athletes that want to go to the next level, and we all get reckless and start to go, back in the days when I would compete, I got into this mindset of I've got to get the best guy, and I would pull him aside and say, put me to task here like we're in a competition. And it was stupid. And I ended up, I get a neck crank and my neck's out for 2 weeks. But I'd ask him, I'd say, I need to be pushed to that level. And that's where I think these guys are, but on an umpteenth level. And the competition is so fierce now. All of these guys are so well matched that they're looking for that next thing. And that's where the accidents happen. No matter how well padded and protected you are, you don't catch a guy's back fist and hit you the wrong way, boom, or you're rolling with Overeem and a guy like that, and he goes to armbar you, and you don't tap quick enough, or he's just too fast, boom.
That's it.
Happens that fast. So,
that fast.
I don't know. I think that's just it. They're just pushing themselves.
I mean, it makes sense, but I just didn't, because like everybody, I haven't met one person who does jiu-jitsu. They all make a point of saying how nice everybody is and how they're not going to try to. And like you,
and we do.
There can't be that many 300 plus people there, so you have to.
Did you say I got a black eye?
Did you really?
Look at it.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of those. Oh yeah.
From what?
It just happens. You'll get an elbow or
look, you see it right there.
Oh, okay. It's
right
not
there.
that
I got
noticeable.
a black eye. I didn't even say nothing about it. My wife noticed it. Just this. Listen, I got an interesting call from Rogan yesterday. He said he went back to the Comedy Store Tuesday.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
He said he couldn't believe it. And I explained to him. I said, "Now you know what I'm talking about. We do great shows at the Ice House. I do great shows at Flappers. I could go to Ha Ha every night. And they're great comedy clubs, but I could walk in there and read the yellow pages and get a laugh because the people that are on before me are people that are learning. So I'm like a fucking king in those clubs. I could do those clubs all the time. That's not what I want to do. I want to keep getting pushed. When I go to the Comedy Store, and you got to follow Sebastian one night and Neil Brennan the other night, and one of these new guys, these young 22-year-olds, Gerard Carmichael or something. You got to fucking work. You're thinking. You had a plan when you went down there. Now you got to change that plan. This kid's energy is strong, so I got to come out with more energy. So that joke I was going to do in the beginning, I'm going to move that and open up with this and come out there fucking swinging. Let me ask you something. You're my brother, and I trust your judgment. You haven't seen an improvement in my stand-up since I went back to the store?
1,000%.
1,000%. Because I'm not fucking around no more. I'm in a different league now. I went back to, and I'm purposely staying out of those. Did the energy level move up?
Yeah.
How big is the energy now? It's a complete different comic. Because now I got that. Somebody pushed me a little bit at the store. They pushed me a little bit. That you have to. I had to remember those things. I was coming out there and I was writing material, but I wasn't performing in front of the fucking original room. That's Regan Machado's. That's John Jock. That's Cabrinha's. That's where you go to the night class.
And you know that.
Yeah.
So once again, this goes back to, this
right
can't
back.
Be taught.
No.
This has made my point.
This is when I was a kid.
Knowing
I could play hoops on 38th Street, or I could go to Emerson and play with Drac and the kid Mahoney. No. Those motherfuckers went to Berkeley.
So you know.
That shit. I saw Godzilla the other day. You see Godzilla?
The new one?
Yeah, you see Godzilla? Bryan Cranston's in it.
Yeah.
One of the best actors walking around today. He's so bad in Godzilla.
Yeah.
Not because he's bad or had a bad day. Because the movie's bad, the people around him are bad,
That's right.
The director was bad, everybody was fucking bad on that movie. Anybody who looked at that movie and said, yeah, I want to go do this, were bad. They made bad fucking choices.
Yeah.
And they didn't know till they got there. Wait till you see Bryan Cranston. He's bad.
It's terrible.
I was on a plane going, oh my God, it's bad. The problem is, it's not he's bad. They're so, even the fucking monster's bad.
Yeah.
Everybody's bad.
Yeah.
So that's what happens. You go to those places, you pick up bad habits. Now you can't shake them. When you go to the store, you can't have a bad fucking habit. When you go to the Improv during the week for those comedy juices, and Dane's there, and Don Marrera's there, and Doug Stanhope's there, and Rogan's there, you've got to bring your fucking A game. And even if just being in the room brings your A game up.
Sure.
Like just being in the room,
Sure.
that energy.
Sure.
You know, when I go to whatever, after my first row is horrible, no matter what I do, because I can't breathe. But after the guys keep pushing me, by the fourth row, I'm lasting a little longer. I'm going for a move now. Okay, my cardio's not there. I'm moving around a lot of weight. I smoke dope like a savage, you know, but I keep going. And that level, you get better just walking into the room. You get better.
Do you think
Something
that's why Ari
happens.
did his special at the original room?
No, Ari did a special because he had to follow nobody. He did a special at the original room because that's where he started. That's the best room in the country.
Really?
And listen, that room doesn't lie.
Yeah, I got to hand it to you guys.
That
Comics, I think
room
you guys...
doesn't lie. You could go to Alabama and get standing ovations, 5 shows in Alabama. Take that same set to the Comedy Store on a Sunday and get booed.
Yeah, you're
And
gonna be told
can't
the
figure
truth.
out why, because
Yeah.
they don't give a fuck about ego.
Yeah.
The original room, they just strip you down, and that's what happened to me. My first couple sets at the Comedy Store when you went, how bad was it the night you and Paula went?
Yeah,
It was
okay.
horrific.
The first one you did was
It was
great.
great because of pure energy and fear.
But then there were a couple so ones, but the last few I've seen have been great.
Oh, I've been great because I got that timing back. And that's what happened when I went to Higgins. I walked in there, Dave raises, he's good with his feet. Yesterday he was controlling me with a leg.
One leg?
300 pounds, and he had me twisted with a leg. He had a toe in my neck, and he had this shoulder pinned. And I couldn't get nowhere. Nowhere. It's fucking amazing. But even it didn't mean nothing to me. It meant that I was in there for 2 minutes. For a guy like me, that's everything, because I know in my heart that those 2 minutes, they're going to become 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And those 3 minutes
Just
are gonna
crossing
become 4
that
minutes.
threshold.
That threshold.
means everything. And I like what you said about the original room and it doesn't lie. And there were guys that I followed who came up from the theater in Chicago, Steppenwolf, Goodman Theater, and they would say that these guys were so new and poor that they would have to borrow seats to build a theater for an audience. But the thing is, the seats would squeak. But it taught them everything about acting to an audience and writing for an audience, because if the audience was bored, what would happen? They'd be squirming and you'd hear chirping. So they'd go off stage and they'd go, "We got to rewrite this. This is not working. Listen to the squeaking. We want them still." If you're engaged in something, you're sitting still. You're not reading the program. You're not moving back and forth in your chair. So it was a blessing that we had these old rusted seats, because we learned how to write for an audience and learned how to act for an audience. It doesn't lie. And he goes, if that hadn't happened to us, none of us would be where we are today. These are guys that are all A-level guys. But that's it. And you got to go in front of places that are, you're going to tap out. You're going to be in front of an audience that's going to tell you the truth and not bullshit you like, you're in Alabama and they don't care who's in front of them. You're not going to learn from that. You're never going to progress. But that's what it comes back to. You cannot learn that in a textbook in a classroom and spend $60,000 going to Yale drama, because they're going to bullshit you, and you're going to end up having to figure that out 10 years later when you're on your face going, why didn't this work out? Well, because if you cut your teeth on the stage or in front of the camera or at the Comedy Store 10 years prior, you would have learned it. I don't know.
Could anything prepare you for this? Could anything prepare you for what you walked into or what you were going to walk into? Could Emerson Collins prepare you or no?
No, what I think, and actually what my dad said he wished we had done, is I probably could have taken a half of what I did take in student loans. So let's just say I took a $50,000 loan and just came out here and was a PA. That probably would have been just as good. The issue you have is, no matter what, even if you are in the entertainment industry, they like seeing that you have a college degree. And for not entertainment, for any other regular kind of job, if you don't have a college degree, like they won't just hire you for like the mailroom. So the unfortunate thing now is it's gotten to the point where you need it. What I've heard a lot of people are doing now is they go for 2-3 years to community colleges and just bang out a couple of years of major classes at the big universities to get the name degree, but they're saving a ton of money. Mm-hmm. And the issue, my mom told me about that before I went to college, that I could have done that. But when you're going through school, the thought of community college in my head was like, I can't go. My friends are applying to USC, and my friends are going to NYU. I can't say I'm going to Middlesex Community College. I can't say that. But in looking back on it, I should have done 2 years there and 2 years at Emerson. I'd be out of debt by now. It's great. But did you have? We were talking about he had David Mamet. I had the editor guy. Did you have like a comic who you kind of looked at, or a few comics who mentored you at all?
I got mentored without getting mentored. Like, I just shut my mouth and watched. Mm-hmm. You know, I watched Andrew Dice Clay. I watched Eddie Griffin. I watched Paul Mooney. I watched Joe Rogan. I watched just different things from different comics. I sat down with Rocco BC tons of times and just discussed life and ideas, you know. But that was basically it. I got mentored by watching. I'm in a tough position right now because there's two people I have to have a talk with. There's two people that are kind and dear to me that I have to have that talk with. And it's that talk that we're either going to be friends after this conversation or they're not going to be friends. Mm-hmm. And that was my biggest mentor, and his name was Matt Woods. Matt Woods was a guy from Long Island that was a comic, and he basically got into my comedy face one day. And I'm sure somebody did it to you with jiu-jitsu. You know, somebody's about to do it to me with jiu-jitsu pretty soon, where somebody that's dear to you pulls you aside and say, why are you coming here? If you're going to keep doing what you're doing, don't come. You're wasting your time. You have this amount of natural talent. These are all your talents. And you're wasting them by doing this. Don't come no more. Look how you dress. Look at your fucking... I mean, this guy read me the riot act. And I was buck wild. I had to control my hands. Like, my hands were in my pocket. And he goes, you got the most talent of all these guys in the room without even thinking about it. But you'd rather do blow and wear a T-shirt. Not write. I mean, he goes, you don't write. Go on stage and you kill. Why would you want to write? And the guy just kept fucking eating at me. And he goes, if you're really serious about comedy, you'll be here next week at 8:30. He goes, you cancel all the time. He goes, I do a writing class, and I got guys that go in there and work, and they'll never get to where you are naturally, but you want to do blow and hang out. And oh, my God, he just said things to me, and he wasn't lying. Guy wasn't lying, Hugh. Guy wasn't lying. You know, so I walked to the bus, and I walked back to beat him up. When I got to the bus, I said, I'm going to go back and bitch-slap that motherfucker. And I walked back, and I said, I can't. I'll catch him next time. And I got on the bus, and I went home, and I cried on the bus a little bit, and then I went home and did blow. Then I woke up the next morning, I thought about his words again, and I wrote them on paper, and that's it. A month after that, I became a comedian. And I never saw him again. And one night, I'm in Rudy's room in Whittier at the Brave Bull. And I had to follow some old school legend, a detective guy. I like my women how I like my coffee, with big tits, you know, that type of shit. And I went up there and took that room apart. When I got off, Matt Woods was there with Brian Dunkelman he was Brian Dunkelman's coach.
Yeah, for
he was his
American
comedy
Idol.
coach before American Idol. He came out here to help him with shit, and he saw me, Matt Woods, and I pulled him aside, and I said, let me tell you something. You're so fucking lucky. I was ready to kidnap you and throw you in a trunk and beat you up. But the reason why I'm in L.A. is because of you. Mm-hmm. That was my biggest mentor, Matt Woods. And I looked for him on Facebook. I heard he went to Tucson because his brother was sick. And he went to take care of him, and nobody's heard from him since. But that was my mentor because he told me the strongest words I ever heard in my life. And they were the words I needed to hear. That's a mentor. That was a mentor. He never lied. This guy knew I could beat him up without even thinking twice, and he got in my face. Just that changed me. It just changed me, you know.
It's the worst when someone tells you something that you know is
That's
true.
true.
That's
What
the
the
thing.
fuck?
But we all need that. And hopefully you get it when you're a kid. And if you don't, sometimes you're getting that hard talk later in life. I mean, my grandparents were the ones who were doing that to me. My parents were non-existent. Finally, my grandfather, Navy captain, World War II, and just strict and by the book, pulls me aside one day and says, you're either going to, do well or you're going to end up in jail. It's right here. The schism's pretty thin right now. And he just knew, he had an instinct, and he goes, knock this stuff off. Knock it off. And bless his heart, but what he ended up talking to me about was all happening, and I was like, no, no. And I wanted to strangle him, never speak to him again, do this whole thing. But now I look back and I go, man, it was the best thing that I could. It's the best thing, And
I don't know how to have it with these two. I know one guy is very resistant. He's going to resist me. The other guy might listen and not talk to me. But I'm just waiting to bump into them because I'll be doing them a favor. The same favor somebody did to me.
We had it. If you guys listened to the almost a year ago, right after the first week of January, then my podcast, I don't know, might be a little bit awkward. We had not even an argument at the beginning of this last year, and then this year was probably the best year of the podcast, and the podcast just keeps getting better. And then it's hard, especially, I don't know if it's a male thing or what, but you don't
it's a human thing.
You don't like people telling you always want to prove people wrong, kinda. It's kind of like
it's a human thing.
The kids who wanted to steal your lunchbox and you were gonna throw it away, but you're like, no, I'm not gonna. It's hard to.
If you're a human being and you see somebody who's wasting their fucking life or their time, and you love that person, and you don't pull them aside and go, hey, I'm not putting you down, but Jesus fucking Christ, is this what you really want to do? Because you're not doing it. If they get pissed, you guys weren't meant to be friends. But if you're a man and you know how to take it and turn what they said into a positive, because when you say it to somebody, you're not saying to them in a negative way. You're telling them in a positive way. This is what we could be fucking doing. I did a podcast with a person that she was killing the podcast on purpose. Killing it by not doing little fucking things. This isn't brain surgery. This is coming on here telling the truth and putting the fucking thing up. And there's a certain work ethic, we have this thing in America that we work Monday through Friday. On the weekends, we need to drink drinks with fucking umbrellas in it. But then we wonder why we don't move ahead.
Right.
Well, because back to the most beautiful thing I've heard on this podcast, what this man just said today, when you love something, it's timeless. We've discussed this, you and I, 1,000 times, that when you're doing a podcast and having fun, and I got to look at you and go, we've been here for 3 hours. We're giggling.
You guys are the best, and it's obvious that you love doing it.
We love it.
Yeah.
This is timeless for us. This is, when
and
you
I said to Joe, I go, you're one of the you're an inspiration because you're one of the hardest working guys I've ever met, and I've only known you a short amount of time, and I would not be saying that. That's the truth.
Thank you. No.
So when a guy like this comes into the academy, I don't care what level you're at, but he comes in with heart and honesty and integrity. That's when you're building. My grandfather once again would say, who do you want in your foxhole? You got to pick. You got to think about that.
That's true.
You want some schlup who's going to sit there and cower and is not going to, No, you want a guy who you can trust. It's a Navy SEAL credo. That guy, your team member, your swim buddy right next to you is going to save your life. Be careful who you pick and who you're around, because that's the person that's going to help lift you through life.
Who do you want in your fucking foxhole?
Who do you want in your...
Damn.
That's it. And that's the truth. So
that's the fucking truth, man.
And you guys found each other. There's no accident. And you're building, when you're on a movie set and you don't know what you're doing, you damn well better hire people that do. Successful people surround themselves with people that know what they're doing. Great artists, great comics, great writers. I've been lucky that when I started to pursue things, I would go to the source, the best of the best. I just had some instinct that told me, if you're going to go and do it, don't do it half-baked. You're going to go all the way. I'm going to find Higan Machado. I'm going to find Jean-Jacques Machado. I'm going to find Hoist Gracie. I'm going to find David Mamet. I'm going to,
Danny DeSanto.
Danny DeSanto. Bruce Lee was my hero. Bruce's best friend, teaching me Kali. I mean,
that's 70 years old.
70-something years old, and he's doing jiu-jitsu.
He does jiu-jitsu. Where does he train jiu-jitsu at?
I
saw him at Higan's.
He goes to Hanato Magno's Street Sport.
Right.
Where I started, and then he's also, we trained a little bit with John Machado. Higan gave him his black belt. He credits Higan for saving his life once again. He had all sorts of back problems, and Higan said, well, for 6 months, you're going to do hip escapes up and down the mat. Wax on, wax off, and back and forth. And he said it strengthened his back. Little chiropractic work, back to normal. Amazing. That's Danny Nasano. But back to you're as strong as the people around you. I believe that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's it. Around bullshitters and people that are bullshitting, you jerk.
And you feel it.
The weekend warrior umbrella and the cocktail thing is not. It gets nowhere. I've been down that road.
My phone doesn't ring anymore. But for 5 or 6 years, all I would get calls from people telling me how bad their careers were. And then I would just ask a couple qualifying questions, like, well, where do you go to get on stage?
Right.
And then the 3 questions, I find 2 of them that are just unacceptable. Unacceptable. The answers are unacceptable. Like, I can't accept this as a human being. So you mean to tell me you're crying about this, but you're going to a wedding, or you're going on vacation for 10 days, or you're doing this or doing that, but you're not doing, we have a friend that goes to the movies 12 hours a week, but he tells you how doing stand-up in L.A. sucks. Well, if you cut that movie era in half and wrote for 6 hours, went to a coffee shop 6 days a week and wrote 1 hour, within 6 weeks, you'll have 20 fucking spotless minutes if you're real. If you get on stage anywhere,
Not only that, what are you watching, Godzilla?
Yeah.
You're watching crap.
It's your
if
time
you're going to go to a
management.
movie, you know what it is? It's like, if you're going to go do that pursuit, do it well. Do something that's going to feed you and turn you into something. If you're going to see Godzilla every week, that type of movie, you're mush. It's
Time management
true. Time
is
management.
so important. When I time management myself, I improve 10% in my game. I have a notebook, and on that notebook, I know where I'm going to be at every time of the day. If you call me and say, where are you going to be tomorrow at 4:40, I can tell you by looking at that fucking notebook. And that's how anal I am. That's how anal it is. I know who I have to call. I know what time I have to call them, what time,
It's great.
It's just something that I needed to do. A man without a plan is not a man.
Where did you know? Who taught you that? Was it your mom or dad or?
I just figured it out. It's golds. It's a combination of golds and just the power of the pen. The power of the pen is the most powerful thing in the world. Once you write something and you look at it, when I goof on with you guys and I say to you guys, I kidnapped a guy and put him in the trunk of a car, and we all laugh. When I write that out, I got to stop and wipe tears from my face and get a drink of water and sneak outside and take a hit off the pipe. It's powerful when I read these things. So when you read something that you have to do, and when you think it, it's 2 different fucking things. I mean, yesterday I had to mail Matt Fultron a check. It was written in there. Didn't have a time for it, but it said Matt Fultron check. That means I had to go mail it. And at the end of the night, when I walk in, I look at that piece of paper. It's got checks next to everything. Very seldom does it have a scratch or something happened or something, and I'll write it in. I couldn't go to jiu-jitsu because I got an 11 o'clock audition at 9:50, But I stick to that fucking plan. That's my plan for the day. Today I got dick. I had whatever, breakfast, I had to make a call, my niece. Then I got 2 spots tonight. But that's what you have to do. When you love something and you're getting paid for it, it becomes different. It's not a job no more. It becomes, I can't wait to go do this. Like last night when I got on stage at the Ice House, my dick got hard. It was great to be back there. I had forgotten what it felt like. Sometimes when you're away from something for a while, you start getting negative thoughts about it. I got to go up there. Once I got on stage, I was like, oh my God, this is masterful. And once it was flowing.
I love that little room.
Me too.
Stage 2.
Always loved it. I wish I could tape a CD in there, a special. It just makes sense. It's just so intimate.
Yeah.
That's
That's
a great spot.
That really is. The Ice House, that stage 1 and 2, they've really done. And last night the owner was there.
Yeah.
Last night something happened that was really interesting. Danny Robinson was there. Danny Robinson's one of the heads of comedy of APA. I've spoken to Danny Robinson for 15 years. He's never pulled the trigger on stuff for me, but he's helped out when I've had to. He's a good New York dude. That's the first guy that ever talked to you about college.
That guy was, he was an agent? I thought he was a comic or something.
No.
Oh, okay.
You spoke to the head of comedy division of APA.
Oh.
That guy's father was Johnny Carson's band leader.
Wow.
Something crazy.
Wow.
He knows. He books the bands for APA. He's like, and I looked at him at one moment. I was going to say, Danny, I even said to him, I go, Danny, this guy's going to be you, only 3D, a lot better. You heard me.
Oh, wow. I thought it was comic. I didn't even realize.
No, that's Danny Robinson. He was there to see, what's her name, because she was doing the taping. And it was so weird how I was looking at the both of you going, Lee is 26. And he's got so much on Danny, who's already been in the business for all this long, because he's computer savvy. He knows about podcasts. Right now, what you're doing is you're becoming something that a lot of people don't let. A lot of people in this town are called managers, and they manage your career. They tell people no for you. They make decisions on auditions and shit like that. You're becoming a producing manager. You're seeing it right now. You're seeing a position that's never been done before in this town, that nobody's really wanted. I'm not a manager. I'm a producer manager. I take clients, and we produce projects on our own. We don't need television, network. We just start with podcasts. We do little fucking videos. That's a production manager for somebody. We go to work, Jack. We don't let them bring the work to us. We bring the work to them. You know,
that game changed big time.
That changes the game.
That all changed when suddenly, when I remember being at school and we were talking about a film project and we're breaking down the numbers, film stock, camera. You're in the minimum $55,000 to $500,000 looking at doing some art project, and everyone basically says, "Well, who's got the rich uncle or father that can fund this? We're going to go rob a bank. What are we going to do?" And today, to be able to say, you can get a camera, you can rent a camera, you get a guy like Lee who knows what he's doing, working his way around producing and editing, and you get the right people together, and it can be done. There's no excuse anymore. All the excuses of why it couldn't be done, it's changed. People are still going to make the excuse, but for the guys that are hungry and out there and want to work, it's right here. Changed everything.
I had a call this morning about some guy, Damon. Calling, he's got an idea. He goes, "I got a great idea." And he pitched it to me. He goes, I go, "We could do this online." He goes, "That's where it's going to start, and you're going to catch on with this." You know, people, years ago, you couldn't do anything. Now, he's right. You get a camera, you get some kids, we turn the camera around, we turn the camera on them. Nobody knows nothing. They think I'm talking to the kids, but I'm really saying, "Suck my dick, go out there." That's how we did in Stacy's mom. I was a school teacher, but I wasn't really talking to kids. I was yelling, "Suck my dick, get out there, get A's." And all of a sudden they show the kids and their faces are scary because you can't talk to kids like that. So it wouldn't be, they had like 3 kids up front that were a little older making believe. But you could do this shit online now.
Yeah.
If you really have a dream. You know, I love to shoot a special. Nobody's going to reach out and offer me a special. I'll shoot it on my own. You know, if I put 10 minutes on YouTube and sell the rest for $5, I don't give a fuck. I could do it on my own. You don't need nothing to get out there anymore.
Right.
The only issue with that is that, and we're very lucky, and we work hard, but with the market is so saturated now that it is a little bit harder to get noticed, I think. But if you have a good product, I think
cream rises to the
chance.
top, no matter what, and it's a matter of time, and it does take longer, and it is saturated. It's actually, I don't know, you've probably heard about this, but when Google acquired YouTube, they decided that what they were going to do is build studios and start to have tiers of product and what was commercially viable, what was actual talent, and kind of cut through the blizzard of nonsense where everybody and their uncle's uploading something. You can get lost through that. By the time you actually find content, you're already frustrated and you're leaving it. So this notion of somehow filtering through the nonsense and getting to what's actually worthwhile. So I think that's all happening now to where it's going to start to change once again. That's going to be the next evolution, where the people like yourselves and others that are above and beyond the crackpot out there, if you will. So, but I'm a firm believer in if you're working at it, it'll eventually reach an audience. Just takes a little longer.
Listen, when Dave, we go to jiu-jitsu, Dave does a warm-up, and then he teaches us 2 or 3 things, and we drill him 5 times a piece, and then he goes, "It's time to roll now." And the first time I roll, the first 2 minutes, I think of everything bad. I'm going to break an arm, my heart's beating, I'm going to have a heart attack. Did I hug the cat? Did I do my will? I think of the weirdest things. And then after I tap, and I get my oxygen, as I'm spinning around walking and I can't focus, I think about, why do I come here? I'm never going to get good at this. I'm never coming back after tomorrow. I'm just going to get rid of this gi and not come back and go to kettlebells or something. And then I get in the second roll thinking all this, and all of a sudden it starts coming back to me. I think of comedy. I think of coming out here and people telling me that I was too old, that I was too dirty, and I couldn't get an agent, and I didn't go home. I just didn't go home. Yesterday I'm watching Cold Case, and it was me on Cold Case in 2004. And I remember when I booked it, that was the biggest part I've gotten to date. I play a cab driver, and they come interrogate me, and I booked it because I know what it is to be interrogated. I still remember going for the read and them not letting me go home. That's when you read down it. That's when David, whatever, had the studios. He still has them. What's the guy's name that had the law show? David something. And he built studios in Redondo Beach.
Oh, yeah.
And he built gorgeous. And they were shooting CSI Miami down there. It was fucking gorgeous down there. And it's next to a Brugger's Bagels. And so every time I went down, I would be excited because I was going to Brugger's Bagels.
Oh, is it the one in Manhattan Beach?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where they shoot America's Funniest Home Videos.
Yes. Down there. Really fucking sharp, you
Yeah.
know. And I still remember going in for that and going, I can't believe I booked these roles, but they won't even let me go to Montreal, like the comedy festival. But the only thing I had was that I had nothing going on, so I kept doing comedy. So in my second role, when the guy's pulling me down, and I'm like, I'm going to die, I think of, what the fuck? I was having the same problems with comedy 20 years ago, where I would go home and cry. Like, if I can't make it in comedy, listen, if the comedy didn't work the first 3 or 4 years, that's it. I was going to go back to drugs and stabbing people. But every time I got on stage, every like 3 times I got on stage, I got a fucking window open up, or like a moment of clarity that you're like, you know what, this might just work. I'm going to come back on fucking Tuesday, you know. And then I would get a week of work, and then next thing you know, you're a fucking believer. So that's why I keep going to jiu-jitsu, because I know I suck today. But if I keep going, I just keep going. Eventually, someday, I'll do something nice, and then I'll really get into it and really get. I'm looking forward to December when I'm off the road, because I'm gonna go fucking every night.
But you're doing it already. So it's always, they used to say, if you want to find out how you're doing, ask the guy next to you, because we don't know. We're in our heads and second guessing. But like what we did yesterday, side mount, you're putting the pressure on, you reach around. Remember, you said you couldn't, and finally. I told you, feed the gi, grab it, and you did it. That's leaps and bounds from a couple of weeks ago in a short amount of time. So think about that. And also this notion of it's a lifetime pursuit. And we want to get to everything as quickly as possible, but put the gi on, show up, do the warm up one step at a time. But I will tell you, and Dave's told you, from where it was when we first met to now. Tremendous.
It's tremendous.
Tremendous.
Yeah, I could feel it. I could feel just my corner.
Tremendous. And I told you look like you had lost weight.
Just my fitness. Now I went to Miami, killed me, dog. Them fucking Cuban sandwiches.
It
I
happens.
had no flan.
It happens.
Nothing. I even ate salads at night with mahi-mahi.
It's all right.
But those Cuban sandwiches, I was looking at them today, they're like 800 calories.
Yeah.
Like a regular one is 800 fucking calories.
But
I was eating those. I only
heaven.
ate 2 croquetas a day. I didn't eat no fried bananas. I ate no potatoes with the meat in them, because those things will kill you. Like 1,000 milligrams of fucking carbohydrates.
I love it.
Funny, before the podcast started, we're talking about the whole knowing when somebody's going to be a kiss of death. Like just knowing. And I remember being a kid one time and wanting to jump on somebody. I'll never forget this. And I was dealing with this guy named Tommy Kenny. He was an Irish guy that was in the Westies. He was at like a missing eye. And he would get me these jobs to stakeout places. Like that was his thing. Listen, kid, come over here. I got your job at In-N-Out Burger. I want you to sit out. They got your job as a host outside, but you're not really hosting. They pay everybody else $8. I got the manager to give you $15, and I'm going to give you an extra $100. You're going to sit there, and you're going to watch that manager from the Honda dealer. And you're going to tell me all day what his movements are. You're going to write them on a piece of paper. This is Tommy Kenny. And he called me with these fucking jobs. And I remember one day I talked to him about something. I go, Tommy, we got to get rid of this guy. I really want to break his fucking neck. And he goes, who? That guy? He goes, listen, just give him time. That guy will shoot himself on his own time. And sure enough, the guy got in trouble and got 12 years. And I'm like, how did you know? And that was the biggest lesson I learned from Tommy Kenny. He goes, there's a difference between somebody having a bad day and somebody spiraling out of control. Some people have bad days. You work with those people because they're going to have a lot more good days because they had that bad day. But some people, when you see somebody who gets caught selling 6 ounces of blow to a cop, don't go to his house the next day. You disconnect the fucking phone. It's over. Especially if he calls you and says, hey, my connection's done. Can you get me 2 ounces of coke? Hang up the phone. That guy's on a wire. It's over. That guy's going downhill. And eventually he'll get shot on his own. You're going to go to somebody like him and go, hey, Lee just came to me to buy 2 ounces. He's a fucking rat. Let's shoot him. Shh. Watch.
You say it to me all the time. I'll bring somebody up who was in the news or something, or who I saw, and you'll be like, watch him, and like 6 months later he'll be gone.
He'll be gone. It's
Hey,
the
what
law.
happened? So O.J. Simpson, great. Look,
Great analogy.
great.
You knew it.
I
You
mean,
knew it. You don't even hang
this
out
guy.
with that guy.
Let him just give him some time. Come on.
I asked Lee last night, Lee, this is the best way to put it. If you came to you and said, come here, Joey Diaz is going to get hit with a missile in the next 10 years. You just don't know when. I know the people who are sending the missile. They're working on it right now. Don't hang out with him. Would you hang out with Joey Diaz if you knew a missile was coming? Same thing with people like OJ or
Suge Knight.
Suge Knight, great.
I saw Suge Knight one time in L.A., and he was across the street, and I looked, and what I saw was, I don't know. I didn't see a big 6'8" black guy. I saw a guy that was getting hit with a missile. Mm-hmm. And he keeps doing little things. That's just to let him know that we're here. We didn't forget that you knew who was going to shoot Tupac. You were in on it. You cashed the money. You stole that money. And he's not rich today by no means. Nothing. He's not rolling. Cat Williams was fine until he put that man in his life. Cat Williams was doing fine until something in Cat Williams's, because when you get that big, you don't know who to trust, I guess. Somewhere in his mind, he thought it would be okay to hang out with Suge Knight. Do you think Cat Williams needs this right now? He's not going to do fucking 30 years.
Oh, I know that, yeah.
It's a $70,000 bail. He might do a year, though. They might just make a fucking point with this guy. Suge Knight's not going to do 30 years, but they're going after Suge Knight on the 3 felony thing.
Yeah, they gave him $1 million bail.
So what they're going to do is 25 years or plead bargain to 8. You'll never see Suge Knight again. They'll shoot him in jail.
Mm-hmm. Is that what happens, do you think, with like Amanda Bynes and all these celebrities who keep every 6 months get arrested for drinking or something like that? It's just they have something going on and they can't even help it.
They've had no life experiences, so right now they're overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed. Didn't fucking Walk the Line go crazy for a while?
Oh, Joaquin Phoenix? Well, that was fake. He did that for a fake documentary. Fucking douchebag.
Well, Andre talks about it too. That a lot of these players that come out and get contracts in the NFL, they have these classes now. Of how to handle your money work. These guys have no clue, and suddenly you got this kid who's growing up from the inner city, talented ball player, and says, "Here's a $20-30 million contract." They're out of their minds.
Well, Billy Corbin did that broke 30 for 30, which is just amazing. Freaking Antoine Walker, the old Celtic, he made $100 million as an NBA, and he's broke, bouncing checks at freaking casinos.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
I smoked some dope. I couldn't live this no more.
Those are the best.
That's. You don't want to chase it with any.
No, fructo foodie. You gonna offer one to your fucking guest, cocksucker?
What? I'm not gonna give him one that we ate already.
I had a box last night. I'm good.
Did you?
I had a box.
These things are fucking delicious.
Those are good.
These little nutty
bars.
And if you split them, it's $150 a piece, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
State of mind, like I said. You decide. You decide what the guy.
I got so high last night. I was so proud of myself. I didn't eat. I went to bed. I woke up at 3:30 to pee. I ate like a quarter of a box of Kicks, and I made a pepperoni sandwich and string cheese.
You know what's funny about that? I'll put out apples and like tangerines.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Because then what ends up happening is I go, wow, I've been good. I had an apple. Now I'm going to go make a salami sandwich. It's like this. You never really satisfy.
It wasn't
you know
even
what
that.
I'm saying? It's the
I
hardest thing.
I just said fuck it. I like when you have the munchies. I don't know if you smoke or not, but it's just like even if I had 10 apples in front of me,
right.
I'd walk 5 miles to the McDonald's.
I fucking have bananas at the house and raspberries.
Well, I love the
Last
bananas.
night when I got home, I polished 2 bananas. I took a handful of
Which
those
are great for you
raspberries.
after a workout, by the
Oh,
way.
delicious.
That's the best for you after a
I'm
workout.
a fruit guy. Even this morning I went to breakfast with the wife and I got an omelet and a side order of fruit. I love my little fucking melons and my cantaloupes and all that shit. Oh my God. That's for me. If I still eat 2 bananas and raspberries and an apple and I'm still hungry, fuck it, it's on. I got no time. But I at least give the banana and the apple a benefit of the doubt. I give him the benefit of the doubt because look at this fucking guy.
I ate it too fast. It was the best thing
It
I've
was
eaten.
delicious. It was delicious.
Those
Delicious. They take you back to your childhood, those.
Did you like Twinkies and all that stuff, and like ding dongs and ho hos?
No.
My mom never really gave us
Me
those.
neither. Me neither. I was a yodel guy.
I wanted them.
I'm a yodel guy,
Yodel.
like a motherfucker. They're the chocolate with the vanilla cream rolled up this way. You get 2 to a pack.
Yes, that's
Yodels.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
somebody else calls them ho-hos.
Ho-hos.
I'm a
Okay.
yodel guy. I was also a devil dog motherfucker.
Oh,
The
man.
devil dogs with
Devil-
the cream in the middle
yeah.
and the 2 chocolate
Oh,
cakes
my
that now taste like
God.
dick.
What were the ones like the chocolate cupcakes that had like little circles on the top?
Hostess.
That's a Hostess.
That's what I
Those
love
are
They,
great
they
too.
used to be delicious, not anymore.
Not anymore. Stuff
They
changed.
took the fat out of them.
It changed.
They took the mice out of the factory. When I was a kid, I used to
That's
go to
true.
the Hostess and Sea Caucus. Filthy. Filthy.
Filthy.
Fucking delicious. Delicious.
But nobody died. What was
No.
now everything's sanitized and trans fats taken out and no flavor. It's like a
I lived in the north end of Boston, the Italian section, when they first put in. I think it was a trans fat ban. It was one of the whatever those kind of fats that you're not supposed to have, and they put a ban in. And the guy of like the biggest Italian bakery in Boston like went on the news and said, "It's not going to be as good anymore. Just letting you guys know."
yeah.
And there's still lines down the block, but it's Mike's Pastry on Hanover Street in Boston. There's lines out the door all day, every day. And when they made that ban, it's like, well, cannolis aren't going to taste the same anymore.
Oh man. Freyhofer, Entenmann's. Remember all
Entenmann's
that?
tasted like shit. The chocolate donuts with
But
the
it
white.
used to. Then they went into all the fat-free stuff, and
Yeah.
it's
No, Entenmann's. I still look at Entenmann's sometimes. I go, because those boxes of chocolate chip cookies, I was raised on eating a box
Oh,
of
my
those
God.
with chocolate milk. That's just what you did. The chocolate donuts with the white balls, when you bit into it and the sugar balls fell all over you, that's what I did.
I like the vanilla
Danish?
loaf cake. Oh, that
loaf.
too.
The Danish. Oh my God,
the Danish. The Danish.
Oh my God, the Danish. My mom used to make this thing called natilla. It's a Cuban egg custard, cinnamony, and you pour it over the sour cream pound cake.
No.
Oh my God,
Joey.
And you, oh my God, and you put
No.
cinnamon on top, and you put it in the refrigerator, and the thing goes into the pound cake. Oh my God! When my mother died, till this day, I won't eat natilla that somebody else makes just because it's a waste of time. It's like egg. It's like everything that you're going to gain weight. Like I tell you what put the 6 pounds on me. When I went to the radio station in Miami last week, they had condensed milk
Oh God.
with something else mixed in a cookie. Condensed milk and brown sugar.
I'll do condensed milk and coffee.
Oh my God.
It's
Oh,
like
my
the
wife
coffee
too.
with condensed milk, like a Hawaiian coffee, Kona coffee.
Oh God.
I don't care.
Condensed milk will put 92,000.
I still drink eggnog. I don't care.
How good is that shit?
Gotta.
Without the rum, the fucking eggnog in the morning, when you pop that motherfucker and drink it out of the fucking carton, and it just goes down. Good. Oh my God. Oh my fuck. Let me give some shout outs. I'm getting fucking excited for you. Want to give some shout outs to my main man, Jason Anderson. I love you, cocksucker. Thanks for getting the patch and the rest of the stuff. Ahmed Al-Ahmed, you bad motherfucker. That's another thing I got to add to that joke. I ate Sabret hot dogs and Arabian water. I'll never get fucking Ebola. Alex Bones Jones, I love you. Michael Alvarado, I love you too. Sandman, stay black. Mitch Brown, David Repreza, Bergie, always a pleasure seeing you on the street. And yes, I did my main man Cassius Morris's podcast. He's
His new podcast, right? Like
a
the
fucking
Cassius Show or
15-year-old
something.
kid. He's great. This kid has gotten kissed to do his show. I wish we would have done that at 15. We would have ran this fucking town by now. Fucking kid is making a spectacle of himself.
Yeah.
He's a bad motherfucker. I really like him a lot, man.
Yeah, he's great.
What's happened, Syatt?
Oh my God.
I'm still upset about Felipe with the vegan shit. I'm getting emails every day about the coconut.
That was my
That was
favorite.
hilarious
The
because you were just
coconut
saying,
ceviche.
can't you just get the sauce? Come on.
Oh,
and then
my
he
God.
kept rattling on names, and you're like, hold on, I just want the sauce.
I could tell
just
when
come
his
on.
wife
just
came in
get-
later. She didn't like the
And-
conversation.
And that's why some of the other podcasts I've done haven't been as successful as this one. The big thing with that was that I looked at Joey's face, and I could see him dying inside.
Oh,
and he Felipe and him are great friends, so I was like, maybe he's not going to say anything. But I knew if I poked you a little bit, it was like a balloon, and it was just going to explode.
And he kept saying shit about fucking the menu and the cake, and I'm like, how many is the Grateful Dead coming to your wedding? I mean, how many vegans do you know? I know people. I know 3 fucking vegans. I mean, unless vegans talk on the phone about recipes or send each other emails.
They must run in packs.
You know, the vegans that I know look like they're dying. It's a weird thing. They look like they're dying. They're a couple of buddies of mine that have done it, and they. God bless them for trying it, but they just don't look the same. Like something's like they've lost part of their soul and I don't know, man. It's
Listen, I know
weird.
you can't eat meat every day, and you can't eat. You know, you could try eating the chicken
All in
and the
balance.
fish, but
All
everything's
balance.
in balance. I couldn't imagine. I crave a steak sometimes.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
some days,
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'd go for a big ass steak, but I'm not gonna do it. I'll just have a piece of chicken with fucking rice or chicken teriyaki or something. But I crave a fucking big red goddamn steak that when you feel it, you could feel your
But
blood pressure.
we're cavemen. I mean, let's talk. I mean, think about it. Hunters and gatherers, right?
My girlfriend doesn't really like steak, so it saves me a bunch of money. But every once in a while, like I would love to go get a medium rare
You got to do it. You got to do it every once in
ribeye
a
right
while.
after this.
With a baked potato and shit, and a nice chopped salad. Shit.
That'd be nice. That chocolate cake at Morton's we got that
Oh
one
my
time
god. Oh my god.
was the best.
Is that molten lava?
Yeah. Oh fuck.
Granted,
See,
we
that's
were,
my
we were so
thing, man.
high, but still.
That, and I'll eat the whole. Nobody's touching it. I'm ordering one. Man, I just want to put my face right in the middle. It's God.
I know people who could go home at night and eat
I have
a
a
fucking
sweet tooth,
cake.
you guys, man.
I don't know how people do it. Like eat a whole cake. Like I don't know. I don't even consider. My wife will bake cakes every night if I let her, and I tell her, please don't fuck around.
See, my grandparents did that. So when we would go stay with them, you like little mice. At 2 a.m, you hear someone walking out, tiptoeing down the hallway.
Oh, yeah.
Then you'd hear. Then the next person's tiptoeing down, and then I wake up and it's gone. Everyone had been up every hour because she would bake and make everything. Everything.
Do you know
we
Betty
ate like-
Crocker brownies, like the red box that you can
Yeah.
buy anywhere?
Yeah.
They're just fine. That's the brownies my mom makes. I'm seeing her this week, and she's coming to the wedding too. My mom was gonna make a pan and bring it and drive it from Boston to Vermont because they're not homemade, but those are my favorite brownies in the world. And I
You
had
should
to.
put almonds in them, right?
No, I don't like nuts in them. I have to try them again. When I was younger, I never liked almond.
You know
nuts.
what? It interrupts. No nuts because it interrupts the experience. That's what I
That's
think.
true.
Really?
I want smooth. If you got something you're biting into, it stunts the
Well,
experience.
fuck, listen, Dairy Queen makes a good hot fudge sundae, but it's a lot better with some nuts.
That's true.
And some
Sundays
That's
are
an
cream.
good.
exception.
Sun-
That's an exception.
Carvel, I love their hot fudge
Carvel.
sundae. but
I
with some
had to
nuts.
tell her not to do it, not to bring it.
No,
'cause
you're crazy.
I would have. It would have, especially the edges were a little bit chewy.
Oh,
I could eat an entire pan of brownies.
I can do that.
I can't.
I could do it.
I like food better too sometimes, but especially at night, I get a real big sweet tooth. Like that, I have to give those away probably today for most of them because if I have that at my house, the next time you give me an edible, I'm getting I don't know how many calories is in that box, probably
150
2,000.
for the thing. So 300 to 150
Yeah.
a thing. You could eat one for breakfast, one for dinner.
Yeah, but I'm talking about when you give me the edibles, and then I have munchies. That whole thing would be
It's
gone.
tough as fucking nails. What do you give a fuck, cocksucker?
That was
You're
fun
leaving
last
me.
night.
You're going to Vermont
Yeah,
for a wedding.
nice
you
up
come
there,
back
Lee.
Monday. Sure, it's real
I used to
nice.
go up there, up New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, the whole area.
yeah. I've been. It brings me back to in 4th grade we did Vermont Odyssey, and it was the biggest thing in my school. They would bring the 4th graders to lean-tos, like cabins but without doors and windows, in the Vermont woods, and you'd hike and that trip was. I think they stopped it, but all throughout elementary school, you knew that trip was happening.
So we can't do that anymore. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore. Remember we used to take field trips and we'd be out.
Where'd you go to grammar school?
I went to moved around a bit. So I was in Scarsdale for a little bit. Then parents split up and I went to Ohio for a couple of years. Then back to New Jersey. So I was bouncing around. Lived in New Hampshire for a few years.
Where'd you graduate high school? In Jersey or in New Hampshire?
New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that's why you went to Bergen Community
Yeah,
College,
exactly.
BCC. And
Exactly.
Now, William Patterson is the #1 party school. That's where another guest, Vicky Pezza, went to school. You went to Rutgers, the Scarlet Knights. It was funny. Last week they had the Garden on 3030. We speak a lot about 3030 here, and it was the Garden of Eden, when the Garden was Eden, the Madison Square Garden. And one of the best games ever I went to watch there were the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers against North Carolina with Michael Corrin and Phil Ford. And they had a guy named James Bailey who was 6'9", who could fucking dunk from anywhere. The Scarlet Knights. It was a tremendous game. But the night before, I had gone to shadow the Sacred Anthony team, the Sacred Anthony High School team. I was in the 8th grade. So Hurley kept wanting me to go to St. Anthony's, me and Whitey O'Donnell. So he made us go to an AAU game that was basically, that's why he's such a great coach, because his team would always be, even in the summer, they'd be participating as his team -1. So they would always get to know each other. So we were in an AAU thing, and they lost. And they had this kid, Mandy Johnson, went to Marquette and stuff, and I remember he was yelling at his fucking players, like, tomorrow, if you're thinking of going to see North Carolina against Rutgers, don't go. You guys don't deserve to see Michael Corrin. He's from Jersey City, and he won a championship as a freshman, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 whatever. But I remember that he gave us the tickets, and going there and seeing Rutgers and shit, it was just mind-boggling for me. Till this day, I get goosebumps. You know, I watched the World Series last night.
That was crazy.
It's funny how
Crazy.
you watch the UFC, and when you talk to UFC people, they're telling you how it's the #1 ground fast in sport. Well, guess what, bitch? You ain't never going to be as big as fucking baseball. And after Sunday's game, when I saw all those people going crazy in San Francisco, it's amazing what we perceive and what is. Like, a fucking American baseball is fucking huge, okay?
Yeah.
You're done. College football in this country is fucking huge, you know?
Yeah.
You know, football, there's 19 games on a Sunday, and you're worried about your 18,000 in fucking Mexico. Go fuck yourself. Right. These guys do 10 fucking games on a Sunday, you know? But
Who's your team, your baseball team?
You know, I watch it all year long.
You just enjoy watching the game.
All these parts of the year, I listen to all these guys talk about baseball. I don't watch it one time. And then this year, I went to see the Giants against the Dodgers the last week of September. On a Monday, I took my uncle. My uncle's 76-year-old Cuban guy who loves the Giants, you know, since he came from Cuba. So I took him. I said, you know what, I don't do much with my uncle. For years, I would go to Costco, and they had 2 tickets for $50 plus 2 hot dogs and 2 sodas. So I would take him every year twice. But now Costco, ever since Michael Jordan took over the team, there's no deal at the Dodgers for Costco. That's a great fucking deal. I mean, you're definitely not going to get them for the fucking Lakers. Definitely not going to get 2 tickets for $50. And they'd upgrade you. They would upgrade you when you got to the stadium. Oh, you bought them at Costco. We're going to give you field tickets. It was a great deal. So this year I didn't have the time, but I just went online. I went to Subway one day, and they had tickets for sale for $10. And I went home and looked them up, and you sat up. You know, they gave you a napkin and shit and fucking dizzy spells because you're going to get dizzy where they're going to seat for $10. So I just went for it and took my uncle and went to see the Giants. And it was great. I remembered how I grew up on baseball. I remembered how it's like fishing. It doesn't matter if you cheer or if you go fish. It's just wellness.
Yep.
I'm not going to fight nobody. I'm not going to yell. I'm just going to sit in a beautiful LA night.
Love that.
Catch the end of the heat and get the clouds and watch the game. And then I saw how much joy it brought to his face. And I felt better about it. So right there, I started following the Giants the rest of the year. That was it for me. I started watching baseball. And I grew up on baseball and the beauty of it. And I know the intricacies. You know, my father had grown up with Tony Perez from the Cincinnati Reds. So every time the Reds would play the Mets, I would fucking get like boxed seats and it was just, you know, we discussed it before when we had the fighter on from Ohio, how much I like the Cincinnati Reds growing up. But
I went out to a couple of those games out in Cincinnati. What is it? Is it Candle? No.
Candlestick is Pittsburgh.
No,
right?
it's River.
Three Rivers Stadium.
Three Rivers.
I went there too.
Been out there.
We were talking about it last night, like the Baumgartner finishing out the game. It's the 7th game of the World Series, 9th inning, 2 outs. Like, it's like, that's what people dream of. Like, that's what you would dream of when you were playing basketball.
That's
like,
it. Right when you
the
go up
last
to,
shot.
right when you're fucking in the basketball court by yourself. What are you envisioning in your mind?
That's it.
I'm going to score the first 2 points of the game. No, there's 2 seconds left.
That's it.
Fucking
right on the
buzzer. Yeah, right on the buzz. I'm going to pop this, and that's what you're playing with in your mind. And the same. I mean, they left to have that season and to leave somebody on third. To have that season, Kansas City did, and to leave somebody on third. It's a heartbreaker. They're all killing themselves today. They all feel like shit, but they have nothing to feel like shit about. They had no payroll. I was waiting for Brad Pitt to walk on the fucking field because they had no payroll. nobody expected them to do anything, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because maybe now they won't get broken up, and maybe they'll stay together
Right.
and play this year and then this year and then the year
Right.
after, and then in 3 years when they won 2 World Series, then the management realizes what they have, and they chop them up like a fucking company and get rid of them or some shit. So you went to BCC, then you went to Rutgers for a while,
I did.
and then you ended up in New York.
I was actually out in San Francisco, American Conservatory of Theater, spent some time out
shit.
there, then back to New York. Because that's what everyone was doing. Everyone was, people would start to talk about where you need to go to school. And I thought, if I'm going to do this seriously, and I didn't know at the time, like we were mentioning earlier, hindsight's always 20/20, and I would have done it a little differently, but it was a good experience. And being in Manhattan and studying theater and going to shows every other night, and it's great. But once again, you're at, do I stay in New York? Do I go to LA? And a lot of guys were coming out to LA. And met a couple directors and decided to come out and never left. It's great.
And what are you working on now?
For about 1.5 years, a documentary
On jiu-jitsu.
on jiu-jitsu, but primarily, as the story goes, the history of jiu-jitsu through the special forces. So back in the day, even preceded the Dog Brothers, but a lot of these guys from Inosanto Academy that were training in Muay Thai, Jeet Kune Do, and Kali ran into some guys that were special forces. And there's a combative program that existed at the time, but was a pretty basic karate. Some guys knew some wrestling, had a little bit of training, but nothing as intense and specific as what Dan Inosanto was teaching and others. And it was right around the time when jiu-jitsu just started to come out and get a name. And lo and behold, Higan Machado goes out to Virginia, naval warfare, to train SEAL Team 6 guys. And I actually have it on footage, old grainy Super 8 footage, of a 21-year-old Higan Machado, barely spoke any English, with 10 SEALs lined up on a mat. And one by one they come to him and he wraps them up and chokes them out. These guys are in top form, best shape of their lives, super badass, and they're all getting tapped out, and they're shaking their head going, what just happened here? And from then on, this guy Pat Trey, who's become a really good friend of mine, 22 years in the SEAL teams, became a Higan Machado black belt and instructor under Dan Inosanto and Kali.
That's the guy you guys were just out of school about a month ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got to know him, hung out for a few years, and I decided it's an interesting story here that hasn't been told in terms of that lineage of how jiu-jitsu and other forms of martial arts so deeply impacted some really incredible people.
And what year was this when Higan did this?
Higan,
This had to be
it was
the 90s.
early 90s. I'll show you some of the pictures of him. He's just this completely ripped, scrawny, 21-year-old Brazilian guy who turned these guys into pretzels. And from that point on, Pat Trey and Frank Cucci and others on these SEAL teams said, we need to learn this stuff. Once again, we're going to go to the best guys around the world. Go to Thailand, learn Muay Thai, Kali, which transfers into knife fighting for knife fighting skills, hand-to-hand combat. Eric Paulson for combat submission wrestling. And they all became black belts and went on to start their own academies. And still train other forces around the world. So what they did was they created a hybrid of this and do an intensive combatives program. So I basically went back and forth to Virginia, interviewed a bunch of guys, Inosanto, Machado's, stayed with Pat Trey, went down to Virginia Beach to meet his buddy Frank Cucci, SEAL Team 6 guy, and put together a documentary. And it's also my way of giving back to how this impacted my life, starting karate at 11 years of age, and wrestling, and then finally jiu-jitsu and Kali, Jeet Kune Do, all this, but the amazing people that I've met along the way, and kind of bringing it all back to the source. So I'm editing. Just talked to a composer about cutting some music for it. Still have a few interviews to do, but that's a passion project. And once again, just around guys that I love and admire and want to tell the story.
It's almost too bad with documentaries that you can't put out like a 20-hour documentary. And I mean, Ken Burns does put out really long ones.
Yeah.
But the amount of stuff, like the amount of knowledge you must have now on those people and like the history of jiu-jitsu, it's almost too bad you have to make it an hour.
It would be a mini series, exactly.
Right.
It would be about a 20-hour mini series.
Yeah. No, it's and even the stuff that isn't necessarily. It's not that it's not entertaining, but it wouldn't keep people's attention. So you're like, okay, we have to cut this.
Right.
Some of that stuff, if people just gave it a chance,
right,
would be so great.
And as an editor, so much of it is just peeling away the layers. And the hard part is pouring through hours and hours of footage and saying, I want this. And then, like you said, some guy goes, yeah, but it doesn't propel the story through, and some people aren't going to be interested. You got to keep it really tight. And I go, wow, so this is going to I'm going to have this condensed to an hour and a half. That's the hardest part of all of it.
My favorite thing making was documentaries, and it's hard when you make it and edit it, because when you make it, you get so attached to it. Like it's good to have an editor who had he has no background with it. So he's like, okay, we'll cut this.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how many hours of footage did you get for it. It must be hundreds.
It's hundreds.
And then it's going to be 90 minutes, less than 90 minutes of it.
It's shot over about 2.5 years. It's going to get cut down to 90 minutes, and yeah, it's that process is one that nobody understands till they're in it, because there's so much footage. And then I'll go back and look over some stuff that I shot a year ago, and they're priceless. Inosanto talking about Bruce and says a quote, and then talks about, well, Pat Trey and when Pat was on his mission and he came back and this and that, and I go, that's got to be in there, but it can't. Or I'm almost going, it's going to have to be another documentary. It's tough. It's a dance around all that.
Probably the most fun we had making the documentary with Joey was we went to his buddy's house, to his grandma's house, where Joey stayed for a few months. And the most fun I had was George was trying to get his grandma to eat, and they were talking to his grandma about black people, and she didn't like them. And I don't think we used that very much of that scene in the thing, because it didn't really do anything for it. But it was, they always have these things where you can win a day on set or win to follow this guy. Like, it'd be great if you had a documentary director you really loved to follow him around while they're making it, because you'll get...
Oh, the making of it, behind the scenes sometimes. There was some behind the scenes footage. I had 2 camera guys that were filming me talking to Hegan, Pat, and Dan Inosanto. And our interchange, when they didn't know the camera on, this is another interesting phenomena. When these guys didn't know the camera was on, is when they're really relaxed and letting the gems fly. And like you said, that could almost have been its own separate, let's have camera guys follow Hugh around trying to get these interviews, and kind of everyone talking off the record.
It kills me. Not every time, but there's been times where we've had a guest in and had a better podcast before the podcast. And then when we know we're recording, I don't know what it is, but it gets changed a little bit.
Mamet always said, it's interesting, when he was directing on a set, he said something happens when you yell action. Something goes on. And suddenly the guy that was relaxed and having this interchange turns into a mannequin. And he says, why is it that when all the extras are hanging around the craft service table, they're relaxed and everything's real, but turn the camera on and it's suddenly robot. That it's the same sort of thing. It's I was trying, once I saw that footage, from then on, I was always trying to just turn the camera on a little early, have a regular conversation, see what would come out, and it got some pretty cool stuff. But at the end of the day, it's been an amazing journey, and that once again, I blessed to have been around some amazing people. These guys are incredible. They're the best at what they do. They've devoted their entire lives. When you're around people that have devoted their entire lives in pursuit of something, it's pretty powerful, and the stories of what these guys have been through and what they've done is remarkable. And once again, these are people that said, look, I want to be as good as I can get at this. Where do I have to go to do it? And who do I need to find? And that's what they did.
You know, I look at my journey sometimes. I sit there. When I did Grudge Match, you know, I get there and I'm on a set with these people, and naturally I'm intimidated. That's you start thinking about all your flaws and your insecurities, and then you know, De Niro comes over and shakes your hand and says, "You're Joey, yeah, how are you?" And you talk a little bit, and then you rehearse, and the camera comes on, and you do your first scene, and you can't, you know, it was strong for me. I went back to the room, and I had to sit there and not smoke dope, and I just jumped in the shower, and I sat there and let the hot water hit me, and I thought about what had happened to me, just what just happened to me. You know what? Without acting classes and all, and I had taken acting classes, and I got, for the role, I got coached and everything. I mean, I didn't fly him down. I got coached up here, and I made notes. But it was amazing. I became that much better after I went back to my room, just being in the scene with him. But I also realized something else. I realized, and I don't mean to, people who listen to the podcast know you'll never hear this from me, but I'm telling you, just so you know how I felt, that I was that good. Like, I felt that good on the set. Like, I never had problems. Like, everything was natural to me. That even afterward, that kid that's really hot right now. What's the kid that's really fucking hot?
Kevin Hart?
No, John Bernard. He's in that fucking movie with that Fury that you went to see last week.
Oh.
When that played De Niro's son in Grudge Match.
Oh, okay, yeah.
John, whatever his name is. That's the hottest fucking actor right now. Came over to me and we started talking about comedy, how to incorporate comedy into stand-up. Like, he was like, "Oh my God, you just incorporated humor. Like, I've never seen, you know."
John Benthal?
John Benthal, and Benethal, whatever. And it was so weird that I went home and I'm like, "That's weird that he said that to me." Okay, so now we have that under control, that I'm good on the set. That you don't have to come and tell me, "Joey, stand over here." I know the fucking angles. I know everything. I know where's the camera going to be there, and we have another one in the back. Boom, I know how to play the both of them. I learned this from getting on 1,000 movies and doing 1,000 TV shows. So we got that. Then we have this new thing called podcasting. And podcasting, we saw last night, when somebody's bad at podcasting, when somebody tries to tell jokes from their routine with no setups, you know, and then how you learn to incorporate life with your routines to make it seem like it's conversational. And that's what we do here. At night when I'm going through the things and I'm writing here, I'm like, "Oh, I'll tell that story, but this is," you follow me? So now we have that. Now we have stand-up. So it's become this Jeet Kune Do of ways. And I'm a mediocre writer. You know, like, I could write a book if I had to. I could write a script if I had to. Have I have to do it? No. But if I could sit with somebody in a room and write with them and say, "Oh, I don't like that there," or whatever. So in a way, the weakest element I have is the writing, which is my back game. You know, I'm great on top of you. You're not going nowhere. You could probably get me into half guard, but you're going to sweat. So my element's going to be fucking... but it's a Jeet Kune Do. I'm not just a comic no more. I'm not just a comic no more. And I'll sit there and go, how did I become a comedian, podcaster, an actor, and a writer? How did this title get put on my fucking head? I'm not a producer. I'm none of those things. I'm a writer, a fucking It's a life experience. It was a journey. It was a 20-year fucking journey. You know, Magno, when you go to that guy, he's very wrestling-based. Jiu-jitsu. It's a very wrestling-based jiu-jitsu. You know, my thing is a very, dirty type act that looks improvised but really isn't. You know, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But it's so weird that I made this journey and I made the commitment. If you were going to tell me when I was 28 that I'd be doing this right now, oh, would I laugh in your fucking face. I just laugh in your fucking face and tell you you're a jerk off and your psychic abilities are fucking disgusting, you know. But
so, like I know you have said that you didn't think you were going to get to this age, but when you were 28, if you could imagine being alive at this age, what would you have thought you'd be doing?
Hiding from the cops.
Really, still?
I didn't see any other way to get out. I thought I was the kiss of death.
But when you were a kid, because we all sat around and daydreamed about what we wanted to do, like the baseball player that was hitting the balls right into the lights, shattering the lights, or the astronaut, whatever it was. There must have been some dream you had as a kid when you were daydreaming.
Well, yeah, you had a dream of being a lawyer. Like
Okay.
I like the idea of being maybe a cop. And then when you're 15, yeah, everybody wants to be Julius Erving. And that was the first dream that got crushed under my feet that I really reacted to. Like, it really took me off my sails because I quit. That was the first time I quit something.
Yeah.
Like, I quit high school basketball, and it was so traumatizing I had to quit high school. I couldn't even look at those people with their fucking uniforms because I was a lot better than them. I just didn't know how to put it together. You know what I didn't have? Discipline. I didn't. My wife and I talk about this all the time. How many people come here? You just mentioned it tonight. They're great in college, but then they come here and
They fall apart.
They fall apart.
Yeah.
It becomes real. It becomes real, and it makes you want to act a certain way, and you know you can't carry that every fucking day, so you're not even going to deal with it. I had a friend who was a funny guy, came from Texas, did 3 or 4 shows, and all of a sudden his father got ill in Texas, and he had to go back, and I'll be back in 3 months.
He's
that
gone.
was 5 years ago.
It's gone, yeah.
He just knew. He just knew for him to move here and to keep it up to that fucking level and to do all these things, he had to continue a thing of work. When I go to jiu-jitsu, I know I'm not going to go there 2 days a week and become a world champion. Eventually, I got to go for, I don't want to be a world champion, but I know that if I was a young kid, 22, I know that after 6 months, I got to do or die here. Either I come to every class 6 days a week, and that's the same thing with comedy. There's a point where you go, you know what? This is not working. Either I got to work a little harder, or I'm just going to quit. It'd be easiest to quit. It would really be a lot easier just to not fucking do this, you know, and that's why we're all in this room. Let me give a fucking shout out to the sponsors. We'll get the fuck out of here. How's that one for you?
Good.
How's that one for you, Lisa? And then you're on a plane, edible free for the weekend.
Yeah.
But we're back
Maple
Monday
syrup.
night and Tuesday,
Maple syrup.
cocksucker.
Tuesday night or Monday night?
Monday and Tuesday. We're back
love
next
it.
week, going deeper than deep. The chef is preparing a new lemon cake for you. He told me today. That's going to knock you into fucking orbit. You like these new glasses? These are my John Lennon look.
You look good.
These
Look
are
very
John Lennon.
fancy.
I don't give a fuck. First of all, we're going to give my main people on it. These motherfuckers have been with us since day one, and the product is sensational, whether it's the Alpha Brain, the New Mood, the Shroom Tech Sport, or the Shroom Tech Immune, especially now, this time of the year. If you're not fucking, if you're not eating Shroom Tech Immune, don't come crying to me when you got Ebola. All right, from rubbing your feet at the beach or whatever the fuck you do. Go to On It, go to joeydiaz.net, or go to the On It box and press in.
Church,
CHURCH. Get 10% off your first order. And I'll tell you what, once you get on it, you're going to love it. And you might as well sign up for the Stay On It program. They'll mail it to your house on the first. You don't have to go nowhere. You don't have to order it again. Nothing. It gets ordered right to your house right there. Number 2, let me tell you something. Lee went home last night and ate them. I eat them all the fucking time. If you're not getting naturebox.com, if you're not getting nutritious, delicious snacks from naturebox.com, just shoot yourself right now. Why are you fucking around? You're still eating shit or whatever? Go to naturebox.com. I got 2 words for you. 1 word. Free, bitch. Free, bitch. That's as good as it gets in anything. How much for the blowjob? Free. How much for the pound of weed? Free. Do you hear those words? Fuck no. Go to naturebox.com and press in
Joey.
and get a free fucking beginner box sent right to your house. How many little bags?
3 and then 1 big one.
And 1 big one
Or
sent
4
to your house
maybe.
for free. They don't want nothing from you. After that, you want to put an order, it's 50% off the first order. But start with, do me a favor. Go to naturebox.com right now. Why fuck around? Right now, while you're listening to this, right now, and pressing one in the
Joey.
box. Go to joeydiaz.net. Look at my tour dates. Look at the t-shirts, the patches. If you don't want that, there's a box for Nature's Box. Press it in. Press in what?
If you go to the box, it's nothing, but just go to Joey. Go to Nature Box and press in Joey.
And pressing Joe, and you're going to get a free box sent to your house. A sampler box sent to your house. It's going to blow your fucking mind. You might get the salt and pepper chickpeas. Don't come fucking crying to me when your asshole's on fire while you're
No,
eating
but it's cool because they ask you, like, do you like chewy things? Do you like crunchy things? And just be honest, and then they'll send you stuff, and you're gonna like. I liked everything in the bag, but you're gonna like 75% of it.
I'm telling you right now, you're gonna fucking love it. The baby ate the fig things they sent me, the raspberry figs, which are fucking delicious.
I didn't try those.
Listen, there's very seldom they'll send you something that you won't go, wow, this is fucking tremendous. You look at the caloric intake, it's perfect, it's a cup. Trust me, go to naturebox.com and press in
Joey.
and get your free box sent right to your house. Let me ask you a question. How much longer are you going to wear those disgusting underwear for? How much longer are you going to look at those underwear and see skid marks and fucking little blood stains and shit? If you're a real savage, you got blood stains and pus and shit in your underwear. You don't need that shit. Go to MeUndies.com. The best. I wear MeUndies for jiu-jitsu because they hold on to my leg. You ever go to jiu-jitsu with regular underwear on? Your nuts pops out of the sack.
It's true.
And the guy goes to do a fucking arm bar and he's stepping on your fucking nut. Now your nut is black and blue. You're shooting loads of the fucking purple. You're not going to get nobody pregnant. Trust me. Go to
How do I avoid that?
By wearing MeUndies.com. Let me tell you something about MeUndies. They pull the sweat away. That absorbent fucking material pulls the sweat away. When I had surgery, I didn't wash my balls the first day because they don't want you in the shower. The next morning, I went to scratch my balls to get that morning dew. There was no morning dew on my nutsack. You know why? MeUndies.com. And they're for women, too. Go to MeUndies.com right now or the JoeyDiaz.net webpage. Go to MeUndies box and press in.
Joey.
And you get 20% off, and guess what else you get? Tell them, Lee.
You get free shipping if you live in the United States and Canada.
And Canada. Who's better than fucking you? Who's better than you? Why are you walking around with those scruffy underwears? You want a chick to sniff your helmet. When you wear MeUndies, your helmet stays nice and cool, protected from the sun. It ain't going to get no SPF number 2 on your helmet. And your helmet stays nice and fucking pink, ready to give out some fucking juju love. Okay, cocksuckers? That's it. Go to MeUndies.com right now and press in
Joey
in the box and get 20% off your first order. You're not going to be sorry. The shirt I wore yesterday, the rash guard, that's a MeUndies shirt. People wear $10,000 for rash guard. I wore a MeUndies shirt. It contains the sweat. It's at home stinking like 10 dead fucking Iranians. But hey, go to MeUndies.com and get a box sent to your house. Cut this shit. Also, if you're smoking vapors, heroin, whatever you're smoking, NailedItLife.com. The best, again, the best, heaviest vapor pen on the market today. If the coil burns out or something, you call Dave direct, bam! You get a new one sent to your house, no fucking questions asked. Where do you get that type of customer service at? Sprint ain't going to give you that. Bounce a check at Bank of America. See how long it takes you to get a Hindu on the phone. Call Dave. He answers the phone within 10 minutes. Also, the Academy. We got Martin Wheeler teaching Sistema. We got fucking, what's his name, teaching MMA?
John Lewis.
John Lewis, and we got Higan Machado. You get 2 free weeks when you mention Joey Diaz. 2 free weeks. You go down there, whether it's Sistema, Taekwondo, or you just want to hang out with Dave and talk about French recipes. Go down there right now to the Academy of Beverly Hills. They ain't fucking around. 2 weeks for free. Tell Dave Uncle Joey sent you, and you'll be straight. All right? That's it. What the fuck else you want? It's Thursday. You know, I'm going to tell you something for you fucking pussies. I don't know if you know this about America. For you little pussies that are getting ready for fucking, it's trick or treat. We're going to a party, you fucking faggot. Let me tell you what tonight was. Tonight's for fucking gangsters. Tonight's Devil's Night. It started in Detroit. That's where the movie The Crow came from. Devil's Night is the night before. That's the night Hasidic Jews don't even come out because they get bombarded with eggs and fucking flour bags. Right in Jersey, how many eggs you throw on a Hasidic Jew tonight?
Man.
Tonight, you got eggs right now that have been under the bed since October 1. You got a needle hole in them. Your whole house stinks like dead fucking something. Your mom's walking around. What is that smell? You're like, nothing, Mom, nothing. Under your bed, those eggs are getting fermented right now. Tonight, you take socks, you put flowers, you take all the old shit that's in your house, and you go to war. They used to kill people. On night. Tonight's Devil's Night. You got to sacrifice
You would
somebody.
make eggs go raw and then throw them in Hasidic Jews?
You don't know how bad it stinks. It
have a
smells like
guess.
10 dead Iranians. So when a Jew smells like an Iranian, he can't handle it. He just starts fucking shaking his head and shit, and it's fucking horrible. Trust me, tonight's Devil's Night for all you pussies that are at home. Well, tomorrow we're going to do a grammar blow. Fuck you. It starts tonight, bitches. Devil's Night. Tonight's the night when you see who the devil really is, and you tell that motherfucker to suck your dick. You understand me? Noah Bowl in your future. That's it. What do you want to talk about, Lee? You're getting ready to go to a wedding, you cocksucker. Yeah. No more weddings for you.
No.
You, what's up with you,
I look good in the tux, though.
You don't fucking look good in
I
the
look
tux.
amazing in the tux.
Get the fuck out of here.
Pictures up.
You got
What color text?
It's like darkish gray, I think. It looks nice.
Did you get a fucking gel for your hairdo?
I don't have hair. I have to go get a haircut
you gotta
after
put
this.
some gel in your head to get a fake ponytail, so you tell me you're a director from Israel or some shit.
Just a glue-on ponytail?
That's it. Who gives a fuck? And then they'll pull it off like Steven Seagal in that movie. Who shot Bobby motherfucking Lupo?
I'll have to see.
Who shot Bobby Lupo? Did you ever figure it out?
I'm not sure.
I love you guys. This week, next week, starting the 6th, I'm in San Francisco at the Punchline. The week after that, I'm in Portland at Helium. Hugh Fitzgerald, where can they find you for martial art classes, advice, anything? You're a fucking knowledgeable guy.
Listen, BudokanFilms.com is my blog. Updates on the documentary, which I'm working on and real happy about.
How do you spell that?
BUDOKANFILMS. Budokan Films.
See, Budokan used to be big, but they don't make live albums there no more, so nobody
Right.
knows about Budokan. That was Cheap Trick. I think Judas Priest also made their album in Budokan, the one Unleashed in the
That's
East.
right.
But Budokan don't like white people there. Somebody got caught with heroin. Who got caught with? Somebody got caught with something there.
Must have been a guy from the Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones, yeah, somebody from the Rolling Stones.
And then you're on Twitter too.
I'm on Twitter and Budokan 2006 and at the Academy, Beverly Hills.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love you guys. Have a great weekend. Stay black. What are we closing with, Lee?
I don't know.
How about a little Snowblind by Black Sabbath? Let's
Nice.
fucking hit them hard.
Nice.
Why fuck around? You understand me? Stay black. I want to thank my sponsors on it, naturebox.com, meundies.com, and Nailed It Life. I want to give shout-outs to everybody again. Jason Anderson, I love you, cocksuckers. Have a great weekend. When are you putting up the live podcast, Lee?
I'm going to put it up, I think, Sunday night.
Sunday
So they can
night.
have it for Monday morning.
There you go. So November starts off fucking beautiful for you. Don't forget to vote next week. Unless you got felonies, stay home and mind your business. Because if you do the paperwork, then they'll remember you have felonies. Then they'll be back on your ass. Then that BB gun you're walking around with, you're going to go do time. Have a great weekend. Remember, we love you. Throw a kiss at these motherfuckers here.
Love you
All
guys.
Lee.
What's
what
up,
the
buddy?
Fuck? Throw some Jew fucking bad luck on them. Wham them up. Shoot him. Give Gaza some love. All right. We love you, cocksucker. Stay black and have a great weekend.